Welcome to the Miracle You, guiding you on the journey towards finding passion and purpose and how to discover, create, and live a life by your design. Whether your success has been plentiful or your missed opportunities have been overwhelming, we can help you become a more empowered, masterful person and show you how to share your gift with the world. It's time to inspire change from within with the host of the Miracle You, Vince Kramer.
Hello, imagination. I'm Vince Kramer, your host, and welcome to the Miracle You, where you learn about the magic of living your life by finding the example in real life. Many, if not most of us, have experiences and emotions that we've stuffed into our bodies because we didn't know how to deal with them or we just didn't want to deal with them. Many of those are tied to experiences in our childhood that were very painful or very uncomfortable. Our guest today is going to talk about the trauma that we carry into our adulthood from things that we experience in our childhood. So many of these unexpressed things, either emotions or trauma of the experiences, really can cause some major damage to us as we move forward in our lives. In some cases, it causes disease, problems in our body where our body is just holding on to this lower vibration, and in that, it affects our health. Other ways, it really affects our relationships. And when it comes to our relationships, so many of the pains of the past are carried into our present and will be continued to be carried into our future if we don't understand why we're experiencing what we are and how we've developed the same patterns that we're going to share in our lives and affect those that we love in our lives the same way that we were affected by the pains of the past. The traumas of abuse, the traumas of neglect, all of those come together and really affect us all the way through our lives unless we really look at them and really get down deep to a place where we realize that it's not about us. It was about the other individual that caused the trauma, as well as holding on to it because we found some kind of guilt or shame in the experiences that we had. So today we're going to learn about moving beyond that trauma into loving relationships, not just loving relationships with others, but being able to love ourselves in a way that supports us as we go through our lives. Hello, imagination. I'm with Riana Milne today, and Riana is a very special person, and I can't wait to share what she does in the world and who she is with you. Riana is a certified global life, dating, and relationship coach, and she has been for over 10 years. She's also a licensed mental health counselor, and she's done that for over 19. She's a #1 best-selling author, coach for the docu-series Radical Dating, Finding Lasting Love Over 40, and host of her live global radio show and podcast, Lessons in Life and Love. As a certified clinical trauma and addictions professional, Riana offers VIP, one-on-one, and group coaching for singles and couples through her Life and Love Training Academy. She coaches women, men, straight, and LGBT clients of all ages. Riana has her own app, Lessons in Life and Love on the Go, and 2 books, including the #1 bestseller, Love Beyond Your Dreams, Break Free of Toxic Relationships to Have the Love That You Deserve. Riana, are you ready to share the miracle of you with the imagination?
Yes, I sure am, Vince. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. It's so good to have you here. And like every bio that I read, there's just so much left out of it. Could you just give us a little idea of what you're doing for people, the miracle that you're sharing with the people that you deal with?
Sure. I am someone that specializes in those that have had past childhood dating or relationship trauma, and that it is now impacting them today in their adult lives in either life or love. So it could be affecting them on the career, financially, with the limited mindset, or even fear in getting back out there to date, uh, affecting their self-esteem, their degree of confidence. So it's taking men and women through that journey of making the unconscious conscious, getting beyond the emotional triggers that stem from past childhood or dating wounds, and clearing that and bringing them to the life they desire and the love that they deserve.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, what would you say your mission is in the world?
I'm on a mad mission to change the way the world loves. I'm really sorry to see this hookup culture happening for those in their 20s, the disrespect that's going on between ghosting and breadcrumbing, that is happening in dating world, just people dropping out and not, saying, I think you're lovely, I just don't think we're a match. The lack of communication and the lack of kindness. So I'm trying to educate people to be better individuals as well as be kinder and more respectful out in the dating world.
Why do you think we've gotten to that culture?
How did we get there?
Yes.
Well, it's hard to say. There's so many different things. When you go through the generation, I talk about, the 1950s was a time of Ozzie and Harriet and Leave It to Beaver and the traditional roles. And then in the 70s, the women broke out and went into the career world as well as was working at home, working with the kids, doing the cooking, the cleaning. And then it became the big American dream. How much material things can we have? And then all the divorces happened. So I'm seeing a lot of people in their 20s and their 30s with the new technology just kind of checking out. And a lot of people in my daughter's generation, I have two girls, 35 and 36, they don't want the big homes. They want freedom. They want travel, maybe one child, two at the most. They're not into the whole materialism of that big American dream. They want things differently now. And seeing interviews with people in their 20s, they're like, I don't know what love looks like. So, there's a lot of broken families, a lot of people moving a lot. The technology is a huge influence, of course. You see people just involved in their machines and not up and conscious and living in the world. They're closed down and in machines and living their life through the machines. You see this a lot with Facebook. Well, this is who I am. Well, be out there and be that person, So those are just some of the things that are going on, I believe.
That you brought up a very interesting point, and before we go into the format a little bit deeper, what I'm finding is that people believe that their life isn't as much as they would like it to be, or they're not as exciting as other people because what they see on Facebook. But really, Facebook, if you really look at it extensively, you only hear about things when they're going well for people, when they're traveling the world, and when you hear somebody that, well, today's just a bad day for me, you kind of just blow that off and go on because you don't want to hear about somebody else's bad day. How do you think Facebook's affected a lot of the relationships that you're seeing, let's say in the 30 to 40 age group?
Well, the 30s and 40s are somewhat mixed on Instagram and Facebook, I believe. I'm not a big user of Instagram. I'm not a big user of social media. I like working with my clients. I like being out in nature when I'm not working. or being with a partner. I like living in the real world. So I use it as an information tool. This is what's going on. You're invited to attend this event. I'd like to share this podcast with you. So I use it for information, both to give and receive information. And I'm not living my life socially through the machines. I guess maybe it's my generation or my age or lack of time, or it's just not a desire to spend my time in the machines. I like living in the real world.
I feel exactly the way you do. It's become a necessity, especially in the world that we deal with, trying to get in front of people to share what we're here to bring with them. We have to get out there on social media, but it in many ways it pulls from the real joys of life. And I'm not putting Facebook or Instagram down for sure.
Yeah, limited. And I work with couples as well, and I often hear mostly the gentleman saying, my wife spends all her time on Facebook. We go to bed, she's on her phone. So it's getting in the way of intimacy and connection. I know a lot of women cheat through Facebook, going back and finding old boyfriends or old high school flames. And then men are checking into porn sites on phones while the women aren't. It's just the machines are really interfering with our intimacy levels, our connection with our partner, with our friends, with people. It's aggravating when you're out with a friend that you haven't seen for a while and their phone's sitting there and they keep going through their phone. It's like, hello, we're right here. Let's have a good conversation. So I don't do that. I keep my phone put away and I am present. And I think that's really important for people to get back into living presently, living consciously, living in the now.
I've known you for quite a while now, and I know that you are coming from the heart when you're talking about having the ability for couples to live their life intimately, for singles to find that person that not completes them, but brings their life to a place where it feels whole and they can interact with those people in a way that benefits both individuals. I know that you're so into bringing that to the world, and there's got to be a reason for it. What happened for you that brought you to the place that this is so important for you to bring to the world?
Well, I was having a series of relationships that ended up being toxic. I thought I was really present and loving and romantic and, part of the team and working hard and raising money for us to enjoy vacations and that type of thing. But then the several men that I was with, just kind of checked out, or they did acts that not only ruined them, it ruined us as a couple. And the last one was a husband I was married to. I loved dearly. We had 3 wedding ceremonies, one in Paris, one in Cancun on the beach, and one in Atlantic City in front of our families. Our 4 kids were really happy. We were marrying. Everyone loved us as a couple. And he was a principal that got caught with porn on his computer and having an affair with the mayor's son's wife. So it was a huge scandal. And we're like, what? It can't seem to come out of nowhere, this whole secret life. And I said, this is nothing that I learned in my triple master's in applied clinical and counseling psychology. What is this? So for my own healing, it started me on a journey of intensive research. And I know I read close to 300 books, and some of the research is in the book Love Beyond Your Dreams. It went to #1 bestsellers, 464 pages. So it was definitely challenging as I was writing, because it was done in 6 months. That was quite a project. But that helped my healing, getting the answers. And as I was getting the research, I'm like, oh my gosh, so many people also struggle from this. And my husband, had 10 out of 10 of the childhood traumas that I usually talk about on my interviews. And the severity levels were 9 or 10 on each one. So he was the son of a very angry, volatile, alcoholic man. So he was verbally abused, emotionally abused, bullied in school. They came from lack, so he didn't have clothes that he felt good in. He was diagnosed ADHD, which is personal trauma. There wasn't a lot of money there. The mother was docile and didn't stick up for him. So there was some anger towards his mom. I mean, you just go through all of them. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's it. And then I had a self-exam. It's like, well, I didn't have childhood trauma because we all think we don't. And then I realized that there was some no-fault abandonment because my father was in the Air Force and he was also FBI, CIA. So a lot of times I remember asking this little girl, when's daddy coming home? And my mom would say very upset, well, I don't know. And it kind of was like sad for me because I was very close to my dad and I never knew where he was. So he was out actually supporting the family, but that's a no-fault abandonment. So I had one of those, and then I was teased in school because I was skinny and gawky. I mean, at age 12 and 13, modeling saved me. That started raising my self-esteem. It's like, great, I can be skinny and gawky over here and it counts, it works, So that kind of brought my self-esteem back. But I had very hard years of being teased for a long period of time, which is trauma number 7. So I realized, I do have some of these, and 90% of people have usually 1 to 3, and some have more. And when you have the splitting of the personality, this Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, like my husband had, that then lends into sociopathy, using people for pleasure or profit. And that was his personality. So, I actually sent him one of the books I did on research. He goes, put my picture on the cover. I'm the poster child to this. And I said, well, my research is just beginning. So I was able to forgive him spiritually because I knew how wounded he was when he grew up. And, you bring these defense mechanisms or these patterns forward. But this is what's happening with a lot of couples today. Both come from childhood wounds and they don't know how to talk through them, or they're taking the blame personally, or they don't know how to communicate with a positive, non-blaming message because the defenses are so high. And most people are doing this unconsciously because it's their normal. So when I work with my couples, we work through that. We make sure they understand each other's childhood wounds and then how to discuss them when an issue comes up and how to do it lovingly and with the full conscious awareness. Oh, okay, I see you're feeling a little jealousy. I want to make you feel real secure right now, baby. I love you. There's nobody else I'm interested in. And jealousy could come from trauma number 7, bullying, not feeling good enough, not fitting in. So what you experience when you're young definitely has huge correlation to what is going on in relationships, or even the negative mindset and fear about getting out and dating, or even when you have someone good, sabotaging that relationship because of past fears. So it's fascinating work. I love studying this. I love teaching this and helping people get beyond the trauma response. I'm a CCTP, which is Certified Clinical Trauma Professional. So I help them get beyond the trauma response in the brain and the body. And it's like a rainbow. Over here, you don't know what you don't know. And that's where I was. I'm like, what is this? And then you can't change what you don't understand. I'm like, I don't get what it is. I don't know how to change it. I don't know how to make myself better so I don't attract this anymore. And then you're learning, but you'll slip. And then you learn, but you slip. And eventually get to the other side where there's the pot of gold. And then people say, well, why do I have to slip? Because the unconscious is so strong. But we are constantly working on the mindset to make you more consciously aware of everything you say, do, how you act. And spiritually, I always have them say in their head, is this action for the good of all? I'm not hurting me, I'm not hurting them, I'm not hurting anyone else. So if you have that checkpoint, and you're consciously making these choices every minute of every day, you're no longer coming from the unconscious wounds or impulses that not only hurt yourself, but your partner, your marriage, your family, the community. And, that I needed answers to that. And that was my mission. And now that's who I work with.
Excellent.
Yeah, I love
some very important points that you brought up through all of that. First of all, the interesting thing is, we talk about wake-up calls on the Miracle You, and most of the wake-up calls that we've talked about are things that people it's happened to them, something either physical or whatever. This happened to you, but in a way, your wake-up call was an experience of somebody else's misfortune, if you will. And it was probably the perfect timing for your ex to be caught in that place where he was doing things that weren't supportive of who he really is as a person. And it was time for him to wake up and start looking at life a different way. But it also was a big wake-up call for you. And one of the things that I really want people to understand is the wake-up calls come, it's how you deal with it. And you gave us a perfect example of dealing with it from a place of empowerment, trying to find your power in the situation and understand how you could better yourself, and also seeing yourself in his trauma really brought out some of your biggest gifts and really put you on your path and your journey to living the mission that you shared with us. So that is so very powerful.
I say to my clients, make your pain, your passion, and your purpose. And if you can do that, and then you add the forgiveness, the spiritual component, which is so important for transformation and change, you bring that all together so you're not the walking wounded, you're not angry anymore, you're not thinking about that anymore. It's done, it's behind you, and you choose to remember the good things. We had a lot of great moments together. And I happened to run into him about 2 months ago, and he holds me and hugs me. He goes, "Ree, you look beautiful." I haven't seen him for 10 years, and I haven't really changed much. And, I could see the huge physical transformation on him. He probably put on like 90 pounds and was drinking very heavily. And, and I said, "Are you okay? I hope you're okay." And I didn't feel any anger. It was just like, I hope he's all right. It was a very interesting, good hug. It was and it really reassured me that I had healed and really did forgive him, because I had no anger around that. And I know one of your questions is what made you, start your path on this journey. And I think back to two things that were monumental in my life. At 16, my very best childhood friend, unfortunately, was killed by a drunk driver. And I went into the funeral and I said to the priest, "Why would they take Michael? He was friends with the freaks, the geeks, the nerds. We all loved him. He was the greatest guy." And he goes, "Sometimes God takes some of the good ones to leave the lesson to everyone else behind. You don't have much time. Live your life with purpose." So that was the beginning of me living my life with intention. I was always serious-minded at 16, 17, while everybody's just out partying. And I set up my goals, and I said, before I die, I want to do this. I want to be on the radio. I want to be on television. I want to have kids. I want to write a book. I want to be in the Barnes & Noble bookstores. So I always lived my life with intention and setting goals. And then, unfortunately, my other very good friend, 3 years, my roommate at Penn State, she was murdered by her boyfriend in an abusive domestic situation. And I tried to warn her, "I don't like how he talks to you. He's pushing you around. You got to get out of this." And then I graduated 1 year ahead of her. And, a few months later, she's dead. So it reminds me again, life is short. Don't put up with BS. If someone's not treating you right, get help or get out, or both. Get help to get out, get support to get out, because it's too rampant. And again, the abuser is coming from childhood wounds, but a lot of times they won't get help. So if they refuse, you've got to step up and do that. But yeah, definitely knowledge is power. And that empowerment piece did definitely help me heal, as well as the spirituality.
The interesting thing through what you just described to us is you found the gift in both of those circumstances, but if you look at them, they're both very trauma oriented. They're both very oriented in the social sciences. So it was really two ways that kind of propelled you towards what the work you're doing right now, and to get your certifications and your master's degrees. That's very, very powerful in looking at how you can find the gifts in each circumstance. Riana, I know that there's so much going on in your life, and you're constantly upgrading your programs and upgrading your business. Could you share something with us that you haven't shared with anybody else that's your next step in that world?
Well, I do singles and couples individually in my VIP programs, but I just developed an amazing group program called the VIP Transformation Experience, the group program for women. It'll be 90 days online in my Life and Love Training Academy, then also some one-on-ones with me as well each month, as well as a 3-day experience in Fort Lauderdale. February is the time frame, and that is geared to really get to know each other, get the community really strong, the tribe of women. It's a very elite program. I can only fit 14, and we're going to do professional makeup and hair and photo shoots for everyone, so they get back into their beauty. You know, after a traumatic relationship, a lot of times that confidence might be broken. And a lot of people don't know, as a model for 32 years and had a prior model and talent school that won 3 international awards for Model and Talent School of the Year. So that was in Erie, PA, and New York, and I would take everyday people and make them gorgeous. Hair, makeup, they're posing. So I said, why not bring that talent that I have? And then I used to be a stylist in a large department store putting looks together, and I used to be the executive assistant to Ralph Lauren. So I said, I'm going to put styling together and posing and then make them feel amazing. And then we have that dinner out. We're going dancing. We're doing beach meditations. I have 3 guest coaches coming to also coach along with me. So it's going to be very empowering, mind, body, spirit, inner and outer beauty, to feel amazing about your life and be ready to have that love you deserve. So I'm so excited about that.
You know you're on your path, and you know you're living your divine intent when you can look back at your life and pull all the gifts that you've been given and all those talents that you've developed and bringing them together to bring a program together like this to create the transformation of finding yourself again. It's the path that you've been on, and now you're bringing that same transformation to people who've experienced some trauma in their life. So very powerful. Thank you for bringing that to the world.
Yes, thank you. I'm so excited to get that rolling. And then my podcast is new, Lessons in Life and Love. I'm about 14 shows in now. And it is on Bold Brave Media Monday nights live. That's global. And then my podcast is on lessonslifeandlove.com. So that's where all the archives are housed.
Excellent.
So that's new, and I like that too. That's fun.
Do you mind if we do a few little lightning round questions?
Sure.
Excellent. What's the best advice you ever received?
You know, I always go back to this. When I was a teenager in Philadelphia, I worked for the #1 radio station as a promotional model, and we did amazing things all over. And my boss came up with these incredible promotional events that everybody loved. The community loved. I loved working them. And he was a marketing brilliant genius. And he always said, "Hun, you got to have a gimmick." And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "You got to do something that's different than anyone else. But your heart's got to be tied to it too." So, you know, when I chose love and life coaching, I mean, there's a ton of love and life coaches out there, right? But I thought, what can I bring from my heart? And then, making my pain my purpose and my passion. That is my niche and that is my home. And that makes me excited to work every day. So I thought that was great advice. Like, do what you love, but make it different than everybody else's, and find that little piece of that pie that makes you so excited. And that's why I said there's no other love coach that was a model and talent agent and modeled for 32 years. So I'm going to bring that glamour and beauty back to the women too. Why not? So that was part, and that made me think of Gene Bassel. He was one of my mentors about, do what you love, do what you know, and make it special. So that was one lesson I'll always remember. And there was another one from my father, the lesson of the 5 Ds. He said, "Hun, if you have the 5 Ds, you can do anything." And it was desire, dedication, determination, devotion, and that means spiritually, and dare to dream. And I have lived by that motto since my teenage years.
Awesome. You've kind of shared some really great guidance with us already in just those 2 things that you just shared. But is there one piece of guidance, especially in the trauma world? Because you said earlier that we all have that childhood trauma. Can you give us one more piece of guidance to help us make a change or bring a transformation into our lives in the areas of what we're holding in our bodies, what we're holding in our unconscious when it comes to trauma?
Well, there's so many different kinds of tips, and the important thing to understand is everybody is their own puzzle, depending what they've gone through, is the techniques I use for them. So it's very individualized. But I do have everybody in my group do something called divine meditation. It's not just sitting and breathing. We do some mindset work through that. It's a 4-step meditation. And that works really, really well. And it is proven in quantum physics that meditation lowers anxiety, depression, the cortisol level, which is fight or flight, anxiety, and the blood pressure, and increases dopamine and serotonin levels of the brain, the happy chemicals. So it's really important that we work holistically, having a clean, organic diet. I use a lot of vitamin therapy, where people used to be on psychotropics. None of my people are on psychotropics anymore. Most of my clients come to me, they are, and they're high anxiety, and within a week or 10 days they're off. And we use vitamin therapy instead. So it's holistic. And I really want to quote my favorite saying is, you can't change what you don't understand. So knowledge is power. The more education you get in this program and you put all these little tips together, you start holistically feeling better everywhere. And that's the important thing, and I just want to say, being that I lost 2 friends very early, and of course later in life now too, it's time. It's time to have that life you desire and the love you deserve. And what better investment than to invest in your happiness and your peace of mind and getting beyond the past that can still control you if you don't do the mindset work. And Vince, you're all about mindset, so how important that is too, to have that calm, that peace of mind, that joy, which is peace, and bliss about life and living a purpose-filled life as well. So there's many different techniques, but it is kind of individualized on what people are suffering with when they come to me.
And it's really about coherence, bringing the heart and the mind together. So, and you've been a perfect example of that up till now. And I know that you're going to continue to shine your heart out into the world. You've kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but can you tell us how people can get a hold of Riana?
Yes. For your listeners too, if anyone would like to explore, what are the childhood traumas, there is a free ebook at havetheloveyoudeserve.com. It's a 10-question yes or no test, and then there's a way you can reach out to me. I do offer the first 7 people that contact me. I have 7 openings a week for a life and love transformation discovery session. It is a $500 value. And I do ask you to do the childhood trauma checklist that I developed first, and then bring that to me so I can help you best. And we'll dive deep into how maybe your past is sabotaging you today. And that, I have love quizzes and chapter downloads of my books on rianamilne.com. There's a whole lot of great freebies there. Enjoy yourself. And contact me if you want to meet with me one-on-one. I'd be really delighted to do that with you.
Excellent. And all that information will be available on Riana's show page. You just go to themiracleyou.com. Right on the first page, just look for Riana's interview. Click on the show page notes, and it'll take you right to where you need to go to find out all this information. And wow, what a generous offer, a free ebook and an opportunity to meet with Riana personally for the first 7 people. So don't miss out. Make sure you get there right away to make sure that you get your spot to really delve into the power and the love that you're really here to bring to the world. Riana, I want to thank you so much for being with us today. We truly appreciate what you're doing in the world. We appreciate who you are as an individual and the example that you're showing us.
Thank you so much, Vince. You know, I adore your friendship, and you and Mary. I love your relationship as a couple, and you know, God bless you too, and all the work that you do to help others. You're a great inspiration and a beautiful friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Riana. And on behalf of Mary and myself, we wish you a miracle day.
Thank you.
You've completed this episode of The Miracle You, but we have plenty more to help you discover your own personal passion and purpose. Head over to themiracleyou.com for free resources to assist you on your journey, as well as register for our free webinar, Discover Your Miracle Life, 3 mind-awakening steps toward your unique purpose, or apply for a one-on-one Your Life, Your Way breakthrough session and discover your next best step on your journey. All available exclusively on our website. That's themiracleyou.com. We look forward to sharing more experiences of passion, purpose, and life by design next time, right here on The Miracle You.